I can't actually see you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, no, it's fine. I don't have anything else to say.
Okay, so very good. Commissioners, any questions for Mr. Anton? And I will ask Mr. Lee, is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this item?
This is Mr. Lee. At this time is for public testimony. If there's anyone in person or virtual who wishes to speak, you can indicate as such. If there's anyone who is attending virtually, if you wish to speak, you can press the raise hand button. At this time, there is no one in person and no one virtually.
Okay. I will entertain a motion on this. Close. Is there a motion and a second, Commissioners? Any Commissioner? Number 3. Sam, would you please introduce the item?
Thank you, Chairwoman Bloomingdale. Item number 3 is file 220067. This is a substitute ordinance relating to a change in zoning from industrial mixed IM to downtown mixed activity C9G for the property located at 640 East Summerfest Place on the north side of Summerfest Place, west of North Harbor Drive in the 4th Aldermanic District. Before I go into the details about the proposal and move the slides, I do want to just draw your attention to the context map. I think it's important to orient you to the area we're talking about. This area, this parcel, the particular parcel that's subject to rezoning today, is a very small, almost outlawed parcel of the larger Italian Community Center site. So you'll see in the right-hand image here, the majority of the Italian Community Center is zoned C9G already. There's a remnant component on the southeastern edge of that site that is zoned industrial mixed. The reason for the zoning change today is that the applicant has requested to rezone that parcel to IM to consolidate the zoning with the larger site to facilitate future development. The developer will talk momentarily about a little bit more about their plans for the proposed development. The site is anticipated to be sold by the Italian Community Center to Kading Development Group, who is the actual applicant for the zoning change. They're proposing a multifamily residential development once the parcels can actually be combined. The final development proposal, given that it's in the historic Third Ward Architectural Review Board area, will require a full vetting and review of the Third Ward Architectural Review Board. So the designs ultimately, before they would be constructed, do have to go back to the Third Ward ARB. So the file today is to allow the process to continue to actually allow the site to be consolidated via a certified survey map. The properties to the north and west of the site are both already zoned C9G. And as it relates to what the Third Ward area plan recommends for this area, I know the Third Ward area plan was adopted in 2005. It talks about, it sets as a goal in a catalytic project redeveloping the southern portion of the Third Ward adjacent to the ICC as new mixed use, I think using an Italian village style development that would include commercial, office, and a wider mix of uses than exists there today. Those uses are certainly supported by the IM zoning district that the applicant has requested to rezone to. And so the rezoning in front of you is, staff has found it to be consistent with the recommendations of the plan. I just will, for a little bit of context, remind the remains. This file is a distinct file. It only addresses that very small portion of the land adjacent to the ICC. So it's a much more limited in scope file. And again, we do find it to be highly consistent with the recommendations of the third ward plan. I'll now turn it over to Carl Kading, who's going to represent the development group, and will share a little bit about the actual plans for this area. And Carl is joining remotely.
Hello, everybody. My name is Carl Kading. With Kading Development. I'd like to thank the commission for allowing us to time today. As David noted, the intent today is to align the zoning of that small nub on the corner with the larger 3-acre parcel that we're working with both the ARB and the city to place a top-notch Class A multifamily development on. At this point, it doesn't make a ton of sense for that to remain industrial while we're working toward multifamily on the rest. And so I guess today I think we're here more to answer questions, whatever you guys would like to know about the prospective model. As noted, we do have to go through the third ward architectural review board. We've been through a number of meetings. I believe 2 or 3 so far. We're on the July agenda again. Continue to work with them to make sure that it fits the concept and vision that the third ward has for a multifamily project of this nature and magnitude on this site. And we'll continue to work through that. I think it would just be instrumental to continue our plans to have the zoning aligned on this site. So I think perhaps with that, we'll make ourselves available for questions more. Commission's time today.
Okay, could you,
Approximately 206, I think we're about 457 units right now. On 3 acres, it will be an above ground parking structure with a 5-story wrap, largely brick, some architectural metal panels. And I think that's all brick and architectural metal panels. As you can see from the different directions, we're trying to find a nice I guess cohesion with the rest of the neighborhood, and that's what the kind of number of presentations and work groups with the third ward architectural review board have been. Top class units, top class amenities, very heavily amenitized. It'll be a nice addition to anchor kind of the south end of or we believe will be a nice addition to anchor the south end of the third ward here.
these are apartments, all apartments?
That's correct, yep.
All right, commissioners, any questions? Simon? Mr. Lee, do we have anyone from the in-person or online that wishes to speak on this matter?
Oh, Commissioner, Madam Chair.
Commissioner, go ahead, yes.
It looks like we have 3 commissioners that popped on as we were going, but I was going to allow Commissioner Sasha Ferris to go first. I think Commissioner Moody beat me, so we do have 3 that we can start on.
Commissioner, go ahead. Please.
I have a question for the, I guess, the development team. The housing that's being proposed, is it planned to be market rate? Can you speak a little bit to the cost of housing and what will be available for?
Yeah, the intent is the building is market rate building. We'll have a mix of studio, alcove, 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom. Or some of the smaller studio and alcove units do find themselves landing in perhaps a more affordable at a 60-70% range with a lower case A, not a capital A, not a fixed, not anything along those lines. But we do have some smaller units in here that would certainly find themselves affordable for a young professional working in the third ward or working in downtown. But that said, the building is a market rate.
And as a reference point, can you give a dollar range for what rents might be indicated?
Sure, give me 1 second. Scott, if you want to tap dance here while I'm pulling it up.
Do that just to, Carl had alluded to it, the building does wrap a parking structure, so there is self-contained parking in the building as well. But it's not visible from public as the building wraps around it. And we do have views, we go through these, this is the first view is from the southeast, looking northwest at the corner of Harbor and Sunfest. And then the next view, whoever's controlling, can go on this, is from the north end, looking southwest of the building. And the north is in the background. Then the final view shows Carl's building in relation to the Valley Company building that does exist at the end of Jackson.
I pulled them up. Smaller units starting about $1,150, and then the largest 3 bedrooms in the hardest corners, big beautiful penthouse finishes will be in the $3,900 a month range.
Thanks for checking.
Commissioner, Brunel, Commissioner Washington, did you want to?
Reiterate some what Sasberg's acts are, Sasberg's acts of consideration. As we try to attack for housing issue that I have to see one. That point, my other question is, as you all are considering development of this, is there a plan in place for utilization of any of our folks that have some of the designations that you like
Sure. Well, I guess working backwards. And the second question, the intent at this point, and our working group and our I guess, preliminary contract is with the local contractors. The intent would be that we're not bringing in an outside group. We're not bringing in a contractor. This will be a Milwaukee contractor that is the GCM site, and by default, I assume using local contractors, a lot of local subcontractors, and in turn, a lot of those local subcontractors that throw their hat in the ring like they fall. Many of the categories you just mentioned. And then getting back to the affordable piece, again, I think if we're talking lowercase a, not official affordable, signed on the city and locked into the site, I think we can all agree that starting $100 range for young professionals working in the third ward, it will find itself to be quite important. That probably falls into 60% AMI category. I haven't pulled up a 60% chart for the zip code that we're in, but I assume that that's going to put us pretty darn close. We do have some units that are naturally in that category, and then work our way up.
Anything else, Commissioner Washington? Okay, thank you. And Commissioner Moody?
I think welcome back to my question, so, yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else from the commissioners? Any other questions, comments, discussion? Mr. Lee, do we have anyone that is here to comment on the project, either in person or online?
At this time is an opportunity for a public testimony. If there's anybody in person, please submit a sign-in sheet. And also, if there's anyone who wishes to speak who is on the virtual room, please press the raise hand button. At this time, there does not appear to be any testimony.
All right. Okay then, commissioners, at this time, we will accept a motion on the item. Commissioners, is there a motion?
Yeah, sorry, a little slow. Sam, are you able to reiterate, the, info that we're approving again for me one more time as we get ready to make this motion?
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Washington. The item in front of you, I'm going to bring back up the context map to show the land under consideration for the rezoning. The item in front of you would rezone this portion of the larger property highlighted in gray from the current industrial zoning, which is industrial mixed, to a C9G downtown zoning district, which would bring it into consistency with the surrounding land. The development would actually take place on, the larger C9G area predominantly. So the zoning change would consolidate the land to allow it to allow it to be combined, to allow the development to advance.
Right, and will there be any, further, decision items that need to come back for us or with, also?
The other approvals, the other city approvals that will likely be required for this project, well, there's the ARB, which I had, which is an independent body, but ultimately will be, the city Department of City Development does have a representative on the ARB, so we'll be able to carry forward any design feedback we get from plan commissioners today through our staff review process at the Third Ward ARB to make sure that the project adheres to the appropriate guidelines. And then depending on the final site design, there may be additional city approvals required related to the potential street. In the image you saw briefly, a potential to consider extending or adjusting the street network in this area that would require a potentially a right-of-way dedication.
Thank you.
Chair, there is a person who has raised their hand. If you will allow for testimony.
Okay, well, we will reopen that, public testimony. Go ahead.
Okay, Ruth Revenue. Did you wish to speak on this item?
We need to have the name stated, of who's giving the testimony, please.
Yes, first person, Ruth Revenue. Would you like to speak on this item?
No.
Okay,
Okay.
there's a
Okay,
second
Is there
person.
anyone else?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Francesca Dawson, you've raised your hand. Did you wish to speak?
I apologize, I accidentally raised my hand, putting it there.
No problem. Let me ask one more time, is there anyone else who would like to speak to this matter? Okay, seeing none, commissioners, I will accept the motion at this time.
This is, Commissioner Washington. I will, motion to, zone item for us. Wow.
Okay, Commissioner Washington has, made a motion to approve the item and the closed hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion, commissioners? Seeing none, we will go to a vote. All- If you're in favor, please say aye. Commissioner Crane? Aye. And Commissioner Brianna Sass Perez? Aye. Commissioner Lily Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Renaud Washington?
Aye.
And Commissioner Tariq Woody? Aye. Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you to Calcading for being here and presenting this. We wish you much luck. And one item that we want to just note on, we do appreciate your work to enclose that parking because that is something that we're very keen to see. Not big parking structures with the cars sticking out for everybody to see. So we appreciate your work in making that an integral inside part of your project. So good luck to you and thank you. All right. Sam, would you like to introduce item number 4, please?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Item number 4 is file number 212003. This is a resolution to vacate North 8th Street south of Michigan Avenue to its terminus and North 9th Street south of Michigan Avenue to its terminus, and to rescind the jurisdictional maintenance responsibilities to state-owned Macaulay Place from North 8th Street to 9th Street in the 4th Aldermanic District. We're going to turn it over to Kevin Kushel from DC Planning in a moment to talk about the ins and outs of the street vacation in front of you. I did want to give a little bit of context and, also following up on the discussion in the last item about affordable housing. And obviously I know the commission has a strong policy priority to see new affordable housing downtown along with our department. Back in 2020, you all, the commission approved a rezoning of the lands that, the privately owned lands that surround this area from institutional zoning to C9G to facilitate an application for affordable housing tax credit from WHEDA. The applicant in that case, Bear Development, is now advancing a larger development that would encompass the entirety of this privately owned site. It's been in the news lately, and you're going to hear a little bit more about it from the applicant shortly. It includes some exciting components, including a new soccer stadium that would bring a soccer facility to downtown Milwaukee. The first phase of that development is going to be the affordable housing component that was discussed with this commission back in 2020 in advance of rezoning. So I guess I wanted to again just kind of thank the commission for the support back in 2020 to advance this rezoning. It did allow the legwork to happen to allow us to get to this point where the city is now proposing to also financially support the affordable housing component. The city financial support is going to be reviewed by our Zoning and Neighborhoods and Development Committee in the upcoming cycle. The zoning change that was required has already been approved by your commission back in 2020. But one final item that will require a formal approval is the vacation of the streets in front of you. So that is an additional element that will allow the multi-phase project to continue or to advance. And I will now turn it over to Kevin to talk about the needed right-of-way vacation.
Good afternoon, Kevin Kushel, Department of City Development. So as I mentioned, this right-of-way vacation will vacate 8th and 9th streets. The other thing that's happening here is Macaulay Place. Macaulay Place is actually not City of Milwaukee right-of-way. It is actually state lands that are currently being used as right-of-way. So as we started talking about this project, we realized pretty quickly that Macaulay Place would have to be vacated as well. And so we had a meeting with the Wisconsin Department of Transportation, along with the developers and Marquette University and representatives from various city departments, and we discussed this. So 8th and 9th streets are public right-of-ways from the city of Milwaukee, and this item would vacate that. Macaulay Place, we have to, according to the state of Wisconsin, what they would want us to do first is to vacate 8th and 9th streets and show that we are no longer interested in maintaining Macaulay Place. And so this file will do that as well. As Sam mentioned, this is part of a larger project. Zoning change has already happened, and a CSM is currently in the works to redivide those parcels. So this, the right-of-way vacation has already been looked at by the Department of Public Works, And the fees that have been outlined in the coordinated report have already been deposited, and the list amended petition has been recorded at the Milwaukee County Register of Deeds. As such, DCD staff is recommending full approval for this file. I will now turn it over to Nick Forsman from Bear Development to discuss the project a little bit further.
Thank you. Everybody able to hear me okay? Good to go. Awesome. All right. I'm Nick Orthman, project manager of Bear Development, 4011 80th Street, Kenosha, Wisconsin. Here representing the project referred to as Michigan Street Commons, the multifamily side, and the Iron District as far as the entirety of the project that encompasses the commercial uses as well. So Sam and Kevin alluded to, this is really the first step in the process to facilitate the development of the site as a whole. So when we got into site planning activities and things of that nature, it became pretty obvious to us that 8th, 9th, and Macaulay would need to be vacated to facilitate our site plan. I think it works pretty well, as those streets really don't have much of a quick purpose right now. They just kind of loop around the site here, kind of going around the existing building, really don't facilitate traffic in any meaningful way in the area. So vacation seemed appropriate to us in that regard. If you wouldn't mind flipping to the next slide. Yeah, so this is just a map, as Kevin and Sam alluded to, that show the actual streets that would be vacated. So 9th Street on the west, 8th on the east, and Macaulay to the south. Next slide, Kevin. And this is really the meat of it. So this is our overall site plan. So as Kevin and Sam alluded to, we've got a mix of uses on the site. On the far west side, we have a multi-family building, 5 stories, 99 units. A mix of 1 and 2 bedroom units that will be affordable at levels 60% AMI and lower for all of the units. Working with WIDA on the low-income housing tax credit side and tax exempt bond side to bring that project to fruition. We've actually submitted to the city for our building permits on that project and are hopeful that everything falls in place for an August start. So we're really excited about that project, and that's really the first step from a construction standpoint for the rest of the district here. And working from left to right on the page, Kevin, if you wouldn't mind flipping back to the overall site plan. We've got a variety of commercial uses. I'm sure many of the people on the call here have seen some of the press clippings recently, and some of the press kind of outlining the plans here, but we've got a variety of entertainment, sports, and other use on site. Still a lot of planning that's going on in that regard. A lot of work to be done to get all the public uses to fit, but this is generally how we think the site can function. And what's shown right now in between the multifamily building and the commercial component is that 9th Street would actually stay as a roadway, but we envision it as a private road. So we'd have signage that indicates as such, and that road would really be used to facilitate access to not only the multifamily building, but some of our back of house type of operational stuff. Pretty well. If you want to flip to the next slide. So this is just a focus view on the multifamily site plan. This iteration obviously shows the existing condition of 9th Street and Macaulay Place, reflective of what we envision it becoming as construction moves along. So that would certainly change. But this is to give kind of an overview of how the multifamily fits context of the site. And then the last couple slides are just a few elevation shots of how the building will look when it's all said and done. They've done quite a bit of work with the city's design review team to go through several iterations here and what we come up with. Design that everybody's happy with and we like, and it'll be a great addition to the neighborhood. And the last slide is just kind of a hero shot of what the entire district will do when it all comes. So that's really it. Happy to answer any questions that you have.
couple questions, straight off. Is there also a venue, like a concert venue in this project?
There is, oh, you want to take that one?
Sure, SR Mills, 4011 80th Street, CEO of Fair Development. Yeah, appreciate the time today. To answer your question, yes, we are looking to have a theater component as well. It will be a 3,500 person capacity indoor theater, approximately 140 key hotel and stadium that seats somewhere between 6,500 and 8,500 people.
65 to 8,500 at the stadium?
Correct.
And then the concert theater is a separate facility for the 3,500?
That's correct. Yeah, it's an indoor facility.
Indoor, okay. And the hotel, do you have a brand on, or is it part of a hotel chain at this point, or you're still shopping it out, or?
Yeah, so currently we are still talking to some of the major hoteliers. In all likelihood, it will be a soft brand, so we will most likely associate ourselves as one of the majors, be it Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt, but it will be a brand of its own. It will not be a Hampton or some traditional brand. It'll be specific to this development.
So, can you speak to what type of hotel it'll be? Is it like a service hotel, with a bar and restaurant, full amenities, or what type of hotel are you looking at?
Sure, yeah, it will be a upscale hotel. So as we look at the various tiers, it will be a F&B. We'll have a lot of food and beverage options within the hotel and adjacent to the hotel. So it will be full service. And it will be at the upper end of the typical hotel chains. As we think about, just by example, in the Deer District, they're moving forward with, I believe it's a Marriott Autograph Series hotel. And that too is a soft brand. That brand will be unique to that development, but it will be, Marriott will have, will run essentially their software in the back of house that we have the benefit of the room reservation systems, et cetera.
Okay, all right. And then who runs the theater, the concert theater?
We are partnered with Pabst Theater Group, Milwaukee-based firm. They run 4 to 5 theaters in Milwaukee.
All right, okay, great. Thank you so much. Commissioners, any questions, comments? Commissioner Washington?
Hey, good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for the presentation. I do have a couple of questions about the housing side. I think you mentioned that some of the units are 70% AMI. If you can kind of go back through the affordable side of the proposed apartment units, and then if there will be any wraparound services potentially available for prospective tenants. That's my first question.
Sure, yeah, happy to answer the question. All of the units will be affordable. So all 99 units here will be affordable at 60% AMI or lower. So we do have about approximately 1/3 of the units do fall into that 50% income band. But yes, all 99 units will be affordable here. So we've been working with WIDA for the past several months on the tax credit side. Have things in line in that regard to proceed to construction here in August. So 100% affordable development. As far as services go, this is kind of a referral network for our tenants through our property management company if they are in need of services. So certainly happy to assist on that side of things that many of the tenants do require a deeper level of service, but we do not have plans for anything on the site.
Right, thank you for that. And my apologies for the is correct. My follow-up question is, in terms of construction, have you all landed a GC yet? And is there any intention of following the city's RDP and utilizing the DDEs and EDs like for completion of the multi-family and the commercial aspects of the project?
Yeah, I can take that one. We have an internal construction company, CMA, Construction Management Associates. Typically, about 90% of the work that we develop, we actually build ourselves with CMA. We've done numerous projects in the area, in downtown and surrounding communities. And yes, we do create the RPP, the various requirements that are laid out. Certainly specific to the multi-family, we're still working through some of the requirements and the funding sources necessary for the commercial components. That's still working through that process on the development components to the east.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mills, for sharing that.
Certainly.
Okay. And also, I would ask if you could go through, there's 99 apartments. What are they, a mix of, what's the mix? And what are the amenities in the building?
Sure. Yeah, so we've got 99 units. 48 of those units are one-bedroom units, and 51 of those units are two-bedroom units. From an amenities standpoint, we've got a lower level that has structured parking. We've got 29 stalls, and then in that level as well, we do a storage locker program to make sure that tenants have space to store their belongings outside of their units. Don't have to go off-site for that. The building will have on-site management, community room with kitchen, and we typically do, this one includes a fitness center as well.
Do the units have balconies?
These units do not have balconies. So this rendering that we're looking at is, this is essentially our latest and greatest iteration of the project. Looks like the slides just changed, but the elevations on that are more or less accurate for what we're proposing.
And is there any outdoor space?
We do have a bit of outdoor space on the east side of the building. So one of the things that we worked through with the city design review team was important to get a landscape area in there and provide some green space. So there is, it's not shown on this site plan, but we did, and Dan and Kevin can speak to this, so we did recently resubmit an updated landscape plan that has quite a bit of green space, kind of on the, this would be the southeast corner of the building.
Do you have any photos of that or anything? Or so we can, or maybe Zoom in on it or something?
Yeah, I apologize. We don't have any in this package, but more than happy to provide whatever we can after the meeting, or maybe Sam or Kevin can attest to the fact that we submitted a revised plan.
Sure. If you want me to comment on that, Chairwoman, there have been some updated plans that have been submitted that do include detailed landscaping on the southeast side of the site, as well as some fencing to buffer it from the potential future theater uses. Another component that we've asked the development team to incorporate that they've been able to successfully incorporate is a pedestrian connection to the existing service path that was constructed that connects all the way down from the east or the western side of the site to the infrastructure and other gathering amenity areas that were developed in the partnership between the Menominee Valley Partners, the city, the WISDOT, kind of under the freeway area, including getting a pedestrian connection that would get all the way down to St. Paul Avenue. So those were two of the things that we asked to be incorporated in the final plan that work. And yeah, we can certainly share the updated landscape plan with commissioners after this meeting if you'd like.
Okay, well, this is something that we are always, talking about with affordable housing, making sure that there is adequate outdoor space for, people and their families to enjoy the outdoors, especially if these units don't have balconies. So, so yeah, we'll be looking forward to seeing that. And let me ask the other commissioners, any other questions or comments?
Sorry, this is Commissioner Washington again. Nick, can you speak to the privatization of 9th Street again? So as I'm looking at the current rendering, Kevin, if you go back to what you were just on, so this is between, so the multifamilies here to the west, 9th Street will be privatized. As the commercial space is built out, this intersection right here, West Michigan Street, is there going to be a stoplight here, or what type of traffic control is going to be along West Michigan Street for pedestrian access and or car share, drop off, all the stuff like that? If you talk about how access to that road will work, leaving and coming into the commercial space and the multi-family.
Yeah, sure, happy to. And Kevin, maybe this goes to the overall site plan. I think it kind of shows what we're looking at here a little bit more thoroughly. So the plan is that we wouldn't change anything on 20th Street, and that's part of the reason that we felt 9th Street needed to become private, is that so we can do a lot of those things that you're talking about as far as drop off, Uber pickup, Uber Eats drop off, you name it. We wanted all that to happen on 9th Street, because if that was going to happen on Michigan, it's obviously very challenging. There's off ramp and the street, but not a great place for that supposed to be happening. So we felt it was really important, so did staff, that we make sure that those things happen here on 9th Street. So we've got access into the garage, we've got a turnaround area that's shown, and we've got it's a little bit small on the screen here, but you can see there's kind of a hashed area for drop off and things of that nature. So we wanted to make sure we did a really good job pulling all of that stuff off of Michigan Street. I think we've accomplished that. And making 9th Street private was a part of that. You know, when the loop, I'll call it the loop between 9th, Macaulay, and 8th goes away, 9th really does need to be private, just that we have all these activities happening here between the two projects, make sure we don't have any circulation issues. So, good question. We spent a lot of time on it, but that's really the goal. And one of the primary functions of 9th Street is not only access, but also just facilitation of all the things that come along with getting in and out of the building, dropping things off, FedEx deliveries, etc.
All right, thank you. And sorry, one last question. Nate Flores, does he speak to the safety plan and lighting? So I know Michigan Street, this would be a really robust area once if approved. All different elements that you'll have here. Speak to some of the lighting elements that will be along West Michigan Street and along 9th Street. Any plans for storage safety for particular family members, families, individuals that live in multi-family those visiting the site since your proposal.
Yeah, I'm happy to take that one. I appreciate the question. Certainly that's something that's been on the forefront of our mind as we look at the design and trying to incorporate the different uses on the site, that they have to cohabitate and work really well together. One of the things that's mentioned with the landscaping that was important is that we want a proper buffer area between the residential component and what we'll call the back of house, whether it's the theater, the hotel, or the stadium, to make it a livable site. And then also ensuring that we have pedestrian pathways that are safe, that really don't overlap with any particular areas, but they can live in the same world and work well together. Lighting is certainly an important part of that. We're still working through some of the design elements on the commercial uses to the east, but lighting for not only the safety of the residents, but for the safety of the visitors is extremely important with hotel uses, theater uses. There'll be a lot of, we've got a pretty significant buffer area along Michigan there, you can see, and it still has, work still has to be done to have a for share and drop off area. And really limiting that traffic that's going to be coming into the back area behind the theater and the hotel, where it's it's not open to the public, that it is, it's closed off and where we allow for the 360-degree turning radiuses so trucks can get in and out of there and do it in a safe manner. So we feel real confident with where we're at now that we've accomplished that. And then certainly the lighting side on multifamily, but then if we bring similar features on the adjacent theater piece.
Any indication that you plan to integrate any public art in say any of the spaces, murals, anything like that, or families or needs of there?
Yeah, we're always looking to do that. Any time we can get incorporate some public art and do something cool and unique, that's something we're certainly all about. There's actually a really cool mural on the front side of what we refer to as the HIDTA building. It's HIDTA, the High Impact Drug Task Force Agency, is the only tenant. Then they're moving out of that existing facility. But there's some cool murals within that space that we're going to save and figure out where we put them on the project moving forward. So that's something that we're always looking to do and always up for any good ideas anybody has too. If there's a way to help facilitate that.
Thank you.
And one thing that we didn't talk about is what is the plan for the parking for the event spaces?
Sure. Good. So we do have within that existing building that essentially encompasses the theater that you see on the screen right now. There are 2 floors of 75 parking stalls per floor. So we've got 150 parking spots already on site. Our goal is we will not be demolishing that. The building, when it was originally constructed, was scheduled to actually be 10 stories tall when it was built back in the late 70s.